Media calls it that. Media has taken to calling the Central Intelligence Agency the CIA, right? The CIA isn't a thing. The Central Intelligence Agency is grammatically correct. CIA as an acronym is just called CIA. It's kind of like scuba. You don't call it the scuba.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I wondered that every time. I'm like, he never puts the in front of it, and I always do. So anyway, that was a quick aside.
It's called the agency.
The agency, sure.
It's called the Central Intelligence Agency. It's called the agency. It's not called the CIA.
Interesting. But for your kids, how do you leverage these skills? What do you do with kids? Because is it the same tactic, or is there anything that you dial up or down based on the fact that they're still in this developmental phase?
The main thing you have to dial up is the experiential part. Because here's what happens. Kids are like it's important to understand that a child is physiologically no different than an adult, right? The same heart, the same brain, the same liver, the same kidneys, the same skin, the same everything, right? They're just smaller, and their brain is growing at a rate. It's the same brain,
right.
But what happens is they're able to retain, store, and correlate information faster than an adult, only because of how quickly their brain is growing.
They haven't developed the neural pathways yet as well.
They're
correct?
developing them.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You and I have them developed.
Embedded. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like a sponge is a fantastic way.
Yeah.
If you crush a sponge and you stick it in the water, what does it do first? It expands very quickly. What does it do towards the end? It expands very slowly until it's saturated, and then it just sits there. Right. We're the same way. A child is just a crushed up sponge. So they're absorbing very quickly. As they get older, it moves a little slower, and then when it's saturated, it just holds still.
Yeah.
Adults are saturated fucking sponges.
Yeah.
We don't have to be, because guess what you can do to empty a sponge? Just squeeze it again.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the whole concept of neuroplasticity, is you can purge what you believe in, purge what you think you know, and learn all over again, even as an adult. That's what's magical about the brain. But children don't have a choice. Children are starting from that small, crushed sponge phase. So the thing to understand is that they're constantly learning. And what they learn from experience that's where the majority of data comes from, right? So if I'm having a conversation with you, the only data you're learning is what I am telling you. If we then go and do something together, you're learning from what I'm showing you, and you're learning from what you're doing. But you're still not making independent decisions because you're doing something with me. Like if we went for a hike together, I'd be like, "Oh, come, Jamie, jump in my car. We're going to go for a drive. I'm taking you to the mountains. I'm driving the directions. You don't know the roads. You don't know the road names. You don't know where we're going. We're talking about fucking coffee, and I'm in control of the car." Compare that to if I gave you a pinpoint on a map and you had to drive there yourself. Now you're learning so much more. You're learning how the car feels, how the roads handle, what the traffic directions are. You're learning what the road names are. You're learning where the stoplights are, right? Where the cops are parked. You're gaining so much more data on your way to go do the exact same thing because you're experiencing it yourself. Children learn the majority of what they learn through experience, which is why so many of us are actually dissatisfied with our children. Because what are they actually learning at school? Not the content of school. They're learning about standing in line, waiting their turn. Everybody has an equal opportunity. I'm not the most important person. That's exactly the opposite of what we want our kids to learn, right? We want our kids to become adults who don't take shit from other people.
That's a great point.
But we put them into a school where their job is to take shit from everybody and keep their mouth shut, right? Unless it fits the rules that were dictated by somebody else.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So all that,
my heart's beating.
But all that experience is what they're actually learning.
Yeah.
That's why they don't come home and talk about ancient Egypt. Because what they really learned was all the contextual data that came from their life experience. So the same thing happens when kids are at home. When my wife and I, just like any other married couple, we don't always agree. We try really hard not to have knockdown, bang out argument fights because they're not contextually helpful to anybody, right? When I'm so emotional, I'm yelling at my wife. I'm not learning at all. I'm just reacting emotionally.
Right.
She's not learning anything good because she's just seeing me react. And of course, the audience, the children, no matter where they are, behind closed doors or somewhere else, they're not stupid. They hear the yelling from somewhere else, or they're witnessing the yelling, and they're not learning anything good either. So what we try to do is we try to practice this habit of what we call hard conversations, where we have hard conversations that are rational and logical and also emotional, but we have them in front of the kids. We don't try to hide it from the kids. It'll be in the car, watching a movie, over dinner, whatever else. Like, hey, you said this to me the other day, it really kind of hurt my feelings, and let me tell you why. Or I'm really nervous about this thing, and I know that you're really focused on a vacation, whatever it might be. I'm really nervous about us taking this vacation to Mexico because what if everybody gets food poisoning and we're doing it just because we want to make your parents happy? It's a hard conversation. We try to have those in front of the kids because that is contextually teaching them how adults converse, right? And then they weigh in on the conversation too. And sometimes our son is like, yeah, I don't really want to go to Mexico, Mom, because the last time I was there, I did spend 3 days throwing up and I didn't like it. And then my daughter is like, oh, it's okay. I actually learned that barfing isn't as scary as I thought it was. But the thing is that the context is where they get all of their education. So to your point, yes, we teach them through the same process, education, training, and experience. But we really lean hard into the experience. So we don't over-educate. Most adults over-educate. Let me teach you this. Let me teach you this again. Let me teach you this a third time. Tell me what you learned. Let's do a quiz. Too much education, right? Give them the awareness and then do it with them. Hey, if you're going to walk down the street to your friend's house, I want you to be careful because this road is dangerous, that road is dangerous, and you got to cross the street to get to your friend's house. And the next time you're like, why don't you show me how you walk to your friend's house? And then we're going to walk that route together. And on the way, I'm going to say, look left, look right, look left, look right. These are the most important streets. There's your friend's house across the street. After 1 or 2 training sessions, boom, let them go, right? Watch them from your window, piss your pants in your own car, but don't interrupt their experiential learning process because that is where they're getting the most enrichment. If you like this short clip, make sure you click here to see the next clip or here to see the full podcast episode.